nice to meet you. My name is Bada, and I am the son of Oyuna, and which you know, my mom.
Yep.
And um, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am fine. I am Dr. Mohammed Shahin. So currently I'm working in Bangladesh, University of Dhaka. So
Mm,
I am fine today. Thank you. Thank you for organizing the session. We want to continue. Yeah.
yeah. So let's start with where you live. Tell us a little bit about Bangladesh, what it's
Yeah.
like, the people.
Bangladesh. Yeah. We are currently I am living in Dhaka city. It's capital city of Bangladesh.
Ah, yeah.
And and my job is, I think already you have seen on my CV that I'm working as assistant professor of accounting, University of Dhaka,
Mm,
a premier university in Bangladesh. Yeah.
I see. Okay, okay. So in Bangladesh, is English like a foreign language? Is it a second language, or is like everybody speak English?
It's a second language, but English is taught from the very early childhood education. Though it's a second language, but it's not like other countries where people feel difficulty even in up to English medium school. But in Bangladesh, most of the cases, from the primary education, so people teach English as a second language. So our English is not like the surprising, rather it's become normal course from the early
Ah, I
childhood.
see. Okay, okay. Makes
Yeah,
sense, makes sense. So it's taught very early and it's like a part of
yeah,
the education system. I see. I
education.
see. Okay, so you've done your PhD in New Zealand, right? So just for your life in New Zealand, what was the most memorable moment you had?
Uh, if you ask me memorable, because I was there 3 years, 10 months, but
Mm,
the most important time was actually when I was studying PhD, because I had 2 periods. Like I had the opportunity to study, plus, and I had the opportunity to work as a lecturer of AUT. But so when I was studying, I have a lot of friends and I got a lot of support from the supervisor. So surprising thing was actually the lifestyle of New Zealand, where people were very much friendly, and I found a multicultural environment where never I feel myself as in strange in that
ah,
country. Yeah, so that was very much fantastic part, and I memorable thing if you ask me, PhD life, the 4 years journey, every day becomes harder, right?
mm,
Every one new day started with a new hard thing or difficult thing. So, but memorable thing was like roaming around here and there. I remember we had a chance to go Palmerston North, and the second time I visited Palmerston North for my graduation. So
mm,
this journey was very fantastic for me, and I visited Hobbiton City
yeah.
in New Zealand. So that was the place is very well known people to people. So this was a couple of things I can remember the whole time
I see.
when
Okay.
I was. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely, like you've seen all of this, the good things that New Zealand has to offer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, let's look on the opposite side of I guess, the question. What were some challenges you faced, some difficulties you had while living in New Zealand?
The challenges actually, when we as an international student,
Mm,
so normally what happen, people go for study with a scholarship or can be self-funding. As I was on a scholarship, but at the initial stage it was very tough because I had to pay the tuition fees from my scholarship, so it was not sufficient to survive with the remaining money. But
mm,
what I had to find out some alternative jobs or part-time job. So getting part-time job was not easy at the early stage
yeah.
of my PhD. So I think I understood the reason for not getting, because when I was applying for job like a super shop, if you think about Westfield Mall or like a butchery shop, even like not relevant to the study. But
Yeah.
if you mention that you are starting PhD, people will not hire you because people think that you will not be a committed staff or serious staff. So
Yeah.
you'll be thinking every moment, so better not to recruit you. So
Yeah.
better just like to recruit people with a bachelor degree or diploma or like but not just only taught program type and study.
So
Yeah.
you gotta underplay yourself so people don't
Yeah,
like.
you need
Yeah,
to
yeah. I
better to hide the degrees if you study like masters or PhD, so you can get some jobs. Yeah, so I had that was the
see.
challenging for my I think 7 months at the beginning, and then challenges started from PhD itself. So I think
Yeah,
you all know that. Yeah, these were the challenges.
yeah. I see. I see. Yeah. I'm guessing doing a PhD is not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah. You should have the consequence of your mom PhD definitely.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, well, what is the biggest accomplishment in your life then? Like overall, just what is something that you're really proud of?
Um, are you talking from New Zealand perspective or
Oh,
like
just life in general. Like,
life in? Uh,
yeah, from your
uh,
life, what is
current,
something you're really proud of?
and are you talking about from like currently what's lifestyle in general or how I lifestyle in New Zealand?
Just your life in general.
Oh, okay, life in general. I think if I understand your question is like academic people are always busy.
Hmm.
Even when I was studying PhD, I was thinking after getting PhD, life will become more easier, comfortable. No need
Hmm.
to do anything, only enjoy, entertain, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But once you pass the PhD, you will understand that now you are just a toddler. You are jumping and jumping. So people
Yeah.
will understand that you are just a baby boy or baby girl.
Yeah.
So once you have the PhD, people will push you to do publication. You have people will push you, or people want to see you in a good condition, like university promotion. So it
Mm.
becomes part of life. Like when I did my PhD and I got admission, I got a lecturer position in AUT, and I understand that people are not interested to talk to me even. Why? Because they know that he did just PhD, so it's very just first year bachelor student type behavior. But
Mm.
once because people the stage and comes with a new challenges every stage. So once you pass the PhD, your new challenges comes in different forms. Like you need to do teaching, you need to do good publication, you need to have a family. In the meantime, you will have a kids as well. So
Yeah.
maintaining balance between family life, career, and your own life for entertainment is become real challenges. And I think we need to make a balance. Definitely not overweight to one particular areas, but I am fine currently.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You're sounds very fine. Okay. Well, you've seen the New Zealand lifestyle, and you've lived in Bangladesh as well. I'm guessing. What are the good things about both sides and disadvantages on both sides? So let's start with New Zealand. What's the advantages of living in New Zealand, and what's the disadvantages?
Okay. So if I talk about from the New Zealand, the good thing is that compared to other developing country like Bangladesh. Here, we spend a lot of, as an academician, like I myself, when I was in New Zealand, I always in an environment where we talk about development, career, like individual development. We are very much busy, all right?
Yeah.
So in that in New Zealand, and good thing is you will get a good life, good
Yeah.
food, good life, good weather. And another thing is the independent family. I think you will understand or no, I don't know. But as a family or as an individual, there will be nobody available to criticize you.
Mm.
But in a developing country, in your life, when you are passing your life with a society, there will be additional pressure on your life that is called social pressure. Social
Mm.
pressure means you are working in a good job, so your life will be a good, like others people will compare you, or you are not earning much, or like earnings becomes a measure,
Yeah.
or lifestyle, like your car, your house, your family standard. So these things, though it's not a matter in New Zealand like another
I
developed
see.
country,
It's not a major
because
problem.
the disparity, the differences among the people or in a community is very minimal. But
Ah, I
like
see.
country in Bangladesh where the difference is very high. Like you will become a big rich people, your neighbor can be even a tenant, or he is not even livelihood for every day. So that can be the differences are very much significant. It's visible in our country.
I
So
see.
that's painful. But in New Zealand, if you think, you don't need to think about, or you don't need to be worried about your neighbor, because even you will not have surprising a bigger amount of money compared to your neighbor. You will not have, because the job, your career are in a balanced condition, like in a doctor's income, professor income, or even a butcherish or worker income. There is not a big difference.
Mm,
But in Bangladesh, if you compare, if you ask me, the salary or lifestyle in people are very different. That's why, sometimes, even though I am passing a good life, I have enough money, I have a good job, but still I don't feel well because my neighbor is not happy, or the other people in my network, they don't have that much security in their job, or they are in a problem. Or even when I go outside, I see a lot of people are in different problem. So that means it's not a total well-being,
yeah,
that is that is absent, I
yeah,
will say. So that's the differences in these two countries.
yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, I've
Mm.
so we're from Mongolia, and I think that's like a also a big thing as well. It's just like that. There's a lot of people like judge people on based on their earnings and the money and
Yeah,
the clothes and like the money, like how expensive your clothes are, your car, and that I mean, that's like a really big thing in Mongolia. And like at
yeah.
New Zealand, that's not as bad.
No,
Like
no.
yeah, like,
People don't care about you. You may have BMW, but I have a Corolla 1997, but it's fine. You
yeah,
will not see the color of my car. You don't have time even, right? And
yeah,
even I don't have time to see the X5 of BMW someone driving from my neighbor.
mm,
Nobody care about it. So
yeah,
that's you can pass your life with peace.
yeah,
You can provide 100% energy efficiency on your own work, where
uh,
you don't need to be worried about on the way to go home or where from your home office. So you feel that I'm okay, that means whole world is okay. But here,
yeah,
yeah, you need to think about a lot of issues. That's actually, I think, these are not from individual, whether it's a country as a system. Sometimes government is not in a condition to support equally to everybody,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, definitely. Having like no overlying like big issues in the country is very like I guess it's you won't really feel it if you've always lived here, but if you come from a country that has some issues, I guess like governmental or like societal issues, I guess
yeah,
it's very noticeable when there's no problems at all, basically. So you work at the largest university in Bangladesh, right? What
yeah.
is like the difference between like the university you work at and Massey University?
Okay. Um, as because the Dhaka University is the largest and number one university in Bangladesh,
Mm,
because it happens just because of the couple of reasons. So the top brilliant students get admission here, and brilliant people join here as the faculty members. So
yeah,
that's why this university, based on actually input and output, actually bring a reputation or the today's stage. But here, actually, what happened in Dhaka University, the quality of education, it's just market oriented. What we understand that job wants, so we design our program. And but currently we are doing very nice in a sense. Our course curriculum are like developed country university style. We are following to develop our course curriculum like Western developed university. So
I
now this our university curriculums are in a very good stand. But in
mm,
a sense, so here what happened, that I think we have a lot of limitations in our Dhaka University.
yeah,
As a student, I can understand that what were the limitation as a student when we study. Like for example, Messi University, if you think a student don't need to think about like I need a book, I need an article, so I can search on my library, I can get it. But in Bangladesh, it is very sometimes very difficult because we don't subscribe to a bigger library or international library,
Yeah.
or we don't have subscription to many journals. Like our overseas, especially the news in all university, you will see the infrastructures are not so big or not so magnificent,
Mm.
but they have all resources whatever they need in their own computer, in
Yeah.
their library. So
Yeah.
libraries are full of resources, and so you are now updated with what happening around. So a student writing an assignment, they can get books necessary, they can get article necessary whenever they need. But when I study in Bangladesh, I had to face problem. I have to have limited resources, like what the books what about available in our nearest publisher, or the old books available in the library. So that means you are not updated what happening outside or contemporary issues. So as
Mm.
a result, the students are actually lacking one side. But
Yeah.
the good thing I can share you, last year, our current administration of the university, they have subscribed like Taylor and Francis. I think you are already familiar with it, and Wiley journals and other Emerald publishers. So now currently the university is
Mm. It's getting
moving
better.
forward, getting better. We're now moving forward to research environment. So I think the students now, if they want, they can develop themselves.
Yeah.
But facilities, if you think like when I was in New Zealand, I had the insurance.
Mm.
Like when all the students are covered insurance, it is mandatory. If any accident happen, student get benefits in the name of their student ID card or ID, everything. So you are secured. But in Dhaka, it is very difficult for, like we have 30,000 students in our
Yeah.
university.
I see.
So it's a big thing, and students' living standard is not as they should have, because
Mm.
it is a residential university. So even sometimes in one room, more than 7, 8 students are living together, or it's like messy. So kind of living standard has definitely impact on the education quality, I believe personally. And but from the supply side, if you think from the university side, we are now okay. So if we want, we can provide a very good standard quality education, because last couple of years, like if you compare 5 years, a lot of PhD faculty member, they come back from overseas to Bangladesh. So they
Mm.
now they're resuming their jobs as a faculty. So I think,
Yeah.
like if you think about myself, I was teaching in AUT. I had the opportunity to teach with other couple of institute in New Zealand. So
Mm.
I have the capacity to teach. So now I am doing the same lecture in Bangladesh as well. So
Mm.
my students are getting the same lectures,
Yeah.
same material. The problem they were facing was the resources access to them, but now our university is moving
Nice.
forward
Yeah.
to have access. So in and lifestyle I have already discussed. So that is definitely a country perspective will be the differences. So yeah, I think we are doing much better.
Mm. I see. I see. It is
Yeah,
great that you like came back to your country and then you're basically sharing what you've learned through all your like your life in New Zealand and
yeah,
trying to bring
yeah,
that kind of culture or
yeah,
kind of like information back to Bangladesh to improve the country. I see. That's really
definitely,
great.
yeah,
So I'm in my last year of high school, and like I gotta start thinking about my life choices and all that stuff. What am I gonna do and all that stuff. And from when I was a kid, I've always been told to do well at school, become an academic, and I did math
yeah, yeah,
like religiously for a good bit. And
yeah,
and then recently I've discovered, business is a thing. Business, my family, all of my family just was always into business, and I'm still deciding which one. I'm kind of leaning towards business. um, why did you choose the academic path after you graduated high school? Like, what really like encouraged you to go that way?
Okay. If you compare between corporate life, like you have two choices, right? If you can go for corporate environment, like you will become an employee of an organization. You can become a managing director or CEO or something like that, right? And on the other hand, there was another option to be an academician, like to be a faculty member of university. So what I compare myself when I was graduating, And because I thought as an academician, I will have the opportunity to learn every day, and I will be updated with what happening in the world around. So I will be studying, and I know that people learning knowledge will never become old. You know,
Mm,
if you join in a company, you will count the years and years. You will become old. But if I
yeah.
ask you what happening about any issues around, you will know and you will explain based on newspaper. But you will not have any theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
You will not have any research. You will not have a connection with the contemporary students, right? So because
Yes.
sometimes students have much more knowledge than the faculty members, it can
Mm,
be. So now, if I talk about for myself, now when I go to my classroom, I need to think about that. I know whatever the lectures required, or I need to have a knowledge. My student can ask any question. So that means it forced me to be always on the learning process, and
mm,
it gives me happiness and peace, and I enjoy it because being an academician, the what important thing you need to have an interest that I want to read, I want to read, I want to read, and I want to understand. If you
mm,
don't have motivation to read and read, you cannot be in academic because without reading,
mm.
you cannot be updated what happening, like
I
like
see.
the normal. But in if you go corporate world, if you do business, or if you are becoming employee, you don't need to study too much. You just know your company, and sometimes what happen, you are a analyst, or you are an insurance broker, or for
Mm,
example, you are a finance officer of a bank, or
mm,
like so every day you will have the same job. You open your login computer, voucher is start, your transaction going on, customer coming and coming and talking, coming, talking, coming, talking, coming. So that means, gradually at the end of the day, you become bored. You like to fly from your office.
yeah.
You know, so that happened. But in academic world, you will have the opposite scenario. Like you will have the flexibility. You don't like to go office, it's fine to stay at home, right? If you have a class, you can go, but the rest of the time you are free to enjoy
Mm,
browsing computers and learning. If you have a passion, you can be a researcher. If you don't like to do research, but there is another option, you can be a teaching lecturer. You
mm,
don't need to do any research, just taking class, finish the job.
mm,
Taking class, your responsibility gone, marking, evaluation, and your job is done. So there is so many beauties of in academic life,
mm.
but the challenge is you need to have a passion that I
Yeah.
have to deliver my the best to my student.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the students are the best judge in the classroom. So they will evaluate you how much better lecture
Mm,
you are providing, or how if you like I face sometimes challenges. I am not updated with something, but I'm talking about, so student laugh.
mm,
Student understand that he is not actually well informed about the topic, so that can be embarrassing as well.
mm. So it's like if I wanted to go the academic path, I would have to
Yeah,
really like basically just have like a love or like a passion for whatever subject that I'm
yeah,
researching into, basically. I see, I see. Okay. That's very
yeah. You need to have a
so,
passion. You need to have a question in your mind that I am searching on it. I want to focus on it. I want to know it. Before PhD, you know everything. You
mm,
know the whole world. But
mm,
once you have done your PhD, you will know only small thing,
uh,
because you will only a small thing, but in a better way, in a finest way
yeah.
that others don't have. Yeah. When
Uh,
you do a research, like you will spend 5 years, but for example, but one article will published in 10 pages. Nobody will say, or nobody will give you a $5 lakh in your account, but you will
mm,
feel yourself self motivation. Oh, I did one good article published. Probably you will get someone who is in the same area. They will give you thank you or congratulations, but rest of the world will just they will say, oh, it's not relevant.
it's about so so it's basically about that self like pride.
Self
You're,
motivation,
yeah,
self
you're,
yeah,
you're taking
self
pride in
motivation.
what the hard work you did, and yeah,
Yeah,
I see, I see.
yeah. You must have you must have someone inside you to applaud you, or someone will praise you every day, will tell you that "Baka, you are, or you are doing fantastic, Shahin, you are doing fantastic."
Yeah.
Someone must be inside you to tell you to the next stage. you
I
know
see. I see.
yeah.
Yeah. It's very insightful. Um. Well, if well, since you've studied here in New Zealand and went through all the life, like the struggles and the ups and downs, what would be like an advice you would give to like young people who want to come to New Zealand to study?
Yeah, definitely, because I have a lot of reasons to advise people to go New Zealand.
Mm,
Number one is where you will find environment to become independent. Like even if you study bachelor or masters, uh, the difference in a developing country like Bangladesh, or I think the Mongolia will also have the similar condition.
yeah.
Like if students get assignment, like in assignment you find out someone to help. Even in my university where I am teaching now, when I give assignment, I also understand that my student did not do it alone, so they talk each other and they
Yeah.
make it. And sometimes whatever, out of 60 assignment, I will find at least 10 assignment are same to same.
Yeah.
They copy and they paste it, and sometimes they forget to change their name as well. Anyway, and it happens. But in New Zealand, what will happen? Because when you upload your assignment to the university portal, it
Yeah.
automatically, turn it in checked,
Mm,
plagiarism check. So that
yeah.
means you know that it is your study, you have to do it. And what
Yeah.
happened? A student finishing 4 years or 3 years study, 1 year master, and then PhD, and throughout the time, the students used to become independent work, or they would become self-dependent,
Yeah.
that it is my job. And that actually works as a magic in the lifestyle. So they can live alone, they can survive alone, they can they forget to depend on others.
Yeah.
Rather, they can contribute to the economy very early stage. In Bangladesh, even uh, our in our country, our government job entry age is 30 years.
Mm,
30 years. After 30 years, you cannot apply for a government job. But 30 is already too late. But you will not find New Zealand. Even you will find some people at the age of 20, they are working in the mall or shopping mall, and at
yeah.
25 they are working in office. So that means the environment helps you, that you will become automatically independent. You
Yeah.
will be a part of the economy. So because education ultimate objective is to contribute to the economy, or
Yeah.
you'll be a part of economy system. So from that sense, I will say that starting New Zealand, the other thing is you will get a good life, secured life. You will
Mm,
have a very much secured health system, medical security,
yeah.
insurance. And then another thing is, like, when you drive your car, you will feel different in New Zealand. But in Bangladesh, sometimes 1 kilometer require 3 hours.
Mm, yeah.
three
Yeah.
hours, four
Yeah.
hours. You know, GPS, Google Maps says you have 20 minutes to go there, but this 20 minutes will never finish next three
Mm,
hours.
yeah.
So that's
It's
where
it's
they were. So
crazy.
why? Because of the huge population and massive traffic jam. But in New Zealand, I didn't find that much. So
Yeah.
life matters. Be a productive people. You need to ensure that you are on time in your office. You leave the office on time, and that you will get in New Zealand, not
Yeah.
in other developed countries. Very difficult, because leaving office on time and getting on your office on time, it's another extra energy, that gives a mental peace and happiness.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very difficult, and
I say.
that I actually enjoyed when I was in New Zealand. Yeah.
Mm,
So I will definitely advise young people to study in New Zealand,
yeah.
any university.
I say.
Okay.
Well, I guess just for the last question, you work with, so you've been a lecturer at AET as well, and you're a lecturer at DACA, and that's like the difference between the students? Is there like a difference in mindset, or how they look at things, or what it's like that?
Yeah, in Dhaka University, in most of the cases, students are very much introvert. I am teaching, so they are taking my lectures, but they don't feel to ask question, or sometimes some evaluation system are different.
Mm,
Like in our country, a student I don't find to raise question. There's are I didn't get my fair marks, or I think I am not evaluated fairly. But
mm,
they should raise, because I can make a mistake, right? When
yeah,
I mark my student, it is very much normal that I can make a mistake. But I didn't find anyone raise this question. Why? Because they feel introvert. They will feel it can be because of the relationship between teachers and student as well.
yeah,
Because in Bangladesh, teacher-student relationship is little bit distance relationship. We
mm,
feel teachers are superior, and student feel that I am a student, so I should behave like a student, and I will be away from him,
mm.
only just for academic purposes.
They're,
But
they're kind of
it,
scared of the teacher.
yeah, scare,
Yeah.
fear, they feel different. As a
Mm,
result, what happened? Many cases I found just only I know my student, or they are just obeying me, or they need lecture. They are taking my lectures, and whatever marks they are getting, they never ask any question. But in New Zealand, that is opposite. The teacher and student relationship is there is no gap. Even a student call their teachers by name. If you call a person by name, and already the gap is lapsed, there is
yeah,
no gap. you know
yeah.
you can smoking together, no problem.
Mm,
You can have a breakfast with your colleagues, no problem. But in
mm.
Bangladesh, it's very unusual to have a smoking with teachers. Very unusual.
I
Maybe
see. Yeah.
probably you will get zero. If I see some teachers see their students are taking or they smoking in front, so we will consider him as a stupid people. But in New Zealand, the teacher-student gap is zero. I will say most of the cases zero.
Yeah.
Even a student, I can tell you one experience. One day, one of my student was in a ground floor in front of the lift, and I saw him in first class, and I didn't see him on class 3 or 3rd class. So I asked him why you are not attending. He directly says that, "Oh, Shahin, I didn't enjoy your class, and it becomes very tough for me, so I drop your course." And that means he has no fear to
Yeah.
express himself. And I enjoyed. My reply was, "Oh, okay, yeah, financial accounting is not easy. But which course you take?" He says, "I took taxation." Then I was thinking myself, as the student doesn't know the tax difficulty, but financial accounting much easier than taxation. And at the end of the semester, he came to me and said, "Shaina, I was wrong, because taxation is more than double difficult than your course."
Yeah. I
So
see.
summary is actually that's the teaching life and the student perception. Uh, so that's the differences in New Zealand and
So
Bangladesh.
they're
Yeah.
like not they're their own people and they're actually able to express their thoughts and opinions on to the teacher.
Yeah. And I think
It's
it's
just
important.
mm,
I think it's important. It is necessary, because ultimately you will be representing university. You have to work in a real life, right?
yeah.
If you read a theory, but you have a lot of question, but you did not ask your teachers,
Mm,
and you don't understand, and you are graduating, it will be self burden.
yeah.
To the self burden. So once you are in a practical life, you will not have a teacher. You cannot, like, you are a doctor. A patient come to you that I have a pain and in my chest. So what medicine? And if you say, "Oh, wait, I need to read that paragraph regarding the pain," so then patient will die. So
Yeah.
you will
I
not have
see.
that.
Yeah. Makes
So that
sense.
means, as a doctor, you need to be a superior, or you need to be excellent in my
Yeah.
problem. You need to understand ability. So that means in New Zealand, what I found, the students are very much practical,
Mm,
real life oriented. They don't hide, or they don't like to leave
yeah.
the class without understanding the topics what
Mm,
covered in the classroom.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Dr. Shaheen. It was an amazing interview,
Yeah,
and
thank you
yeah,
very much for
it's
that as
very
well.
insightful to hear about your experience with New Zealand and Bangladesh and all that stuff. And yeah, thank you for your time.